What would your life be like if you had $1 million? Would you buy a new car, move into a bigger home, or tell your boss that you're sick and tired of their shit? Well, with more money comes a ton more options, but sadly, few people will ever get to a point where access to these options is a reality. Why? Not because they lack skill or knowledge, but because they overestimate how hard it is to become rich. But here's the secret. It's easier than you think, and I'm going to tell you why now. Ask anyone you know, and they will likely tell you that one of their ultimate financial goals is to amass $1 million. Why is that? Maybe it's because it is a ton of money. Or maybe it's because you can call yourself a millionaire once you've elevated to this level of net worth. But the fact of the matter is that this is something many people strive to achieve. And you know what? Many people do get there. Right now, there are roughly 22 million Americans with seven-figure net worths. That's around 8% of the total population. And while this still leaves these people in the small minority, it proves that achieving this level of financial success is attainable. Now, I know what you're thinking, but most of these people probably inherited their wealth, and while some did, most didn't. Recent studies show that only 20% of millionaires inherited their wealth, whereas 80% build up their financial success themselves. This is a promising statistic for people like you and me who weren't handed millions of dollars on a silver platter and have to work every single day to build our own dream-rich lifestyles. Now, it's one thing to know that building seven-figure wealth is possible, but it's another to know how to actually go about doing it. So let's dive into that right now. The majority of people that become millionaires take what is known as the slowlane approach. If you've read the book, The Millionaire Fastlane, then you'll know what I mean by this. But if you haven't, it implies that you chose the path of building wealth slowly over time. This is usually exemplified by regular investing into retirement accounts for decades, with compounding working in your favor to hit that $1 million mark you're striving to achieve. For example, if you start investing $500 a month at age 18 and do so for the next 30 years, by the time you're 50, you'd have over $1 million saved. Now, for most people, this is the most secure path to financial success for a couple reasons. First, it takes next to no skill to execute this investment strategy. All you have to do is identify a low-cost index fund and plow money into it for the next few decades. However, for some people, even meeting the level of consistency that this approach takes can be challenging. But even that hurdle can easily be overcome. All you need to do is set up an automated investing sequence and ensure you have enough disposable income to make your contributions with each passing month. So, what I am saying is that if you are patient and can automate your investments, you will be a millionaire in due time. However, is this the ideal path for people to take to become a millionaire? That's debatable. You see, if I gave you $1 million right now, you'd be over the moon excited. Why? Because it's a ton of money. With that money, you could buy a new house, a fancy car, and more designer clothes than you could wear in a week. However, what if I gave you only $100,000 instead? That could maybe buy you some new clothes, but there's no way it could buy you a new house or even a top-of-the-line car. Now, you may be wondering why I brought up the example of the $100,000 when we are talking about you becoming a millionaire, but this example is incredibly important. Here's why. You see, the value of money declines over time. As the government prints more money, each dollar loses a bit of value, and this phenomenon has been going on for decades. It's why our grandparents could buy a loaf of bread for 10 cents, and now that same loaf of bread costs us $2 or more. So, if you're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together here, you've probably already come to the realization that the $1 million you aim to have down the road probably won't offer you all the benefits you expected it would. Plus, here's a harsh reality that I need to get across because chances are no one has told you this before. If you take the slow lane approach to your first $1 million, you will get there in 3 or 4 decades' time. But what utility will that money give you during that stage of your life? When you're 70, you may not be in any position to travel, buy fast cars, or use that $1 million in the way you would today. This is why I recommend people take the fast lane approach to building wealth. Because having money when you're young versus when you're old are two vastly different experiences, and if you agree, let me know by hitting that like button below. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Adam, if making $1 million in your 20s or 30s was so easy, why hasn't everyone done it? Well, there's two answers to that question, and I think both will set you on a new financial course that will have you becoming richer in a shorter amount of time than you ever imagined. First, most people don't become wealthy earlier in life because they are told they can't. Chances are you were sold the same wealth-building strategies as the rest of us to invest regularly, be patient, and wait until you're old and gray to enjoy your $1 million. So, naturally, you take this course, but as I shared earlier, while this path is reliable, it's also set up to be a slow, long road. Second, most people are not educated in how to elevate one critically important part of their wealth-building equation, which is their income. Most of us are only taught how to get jobs because, let's face it, schools want to keep making money, businesses want compliant workers, and going against the grain is still seen as a social faux pas. Well, if you take this path, I can almost guarantee you will never have $1 million when you're young. If jobs made you rich at an early age, everyone would be rich. It's for this reason that you need to employ more efficient income vehicles to raise your income, invest more money, and get rich sooner. Now, given that I just told you that you have to take a non-traditional path to wealth, you're probably wondering how I can sit here and justify that making $1 million will be easier than you thought, and how you can achieve it at an early age, so let's get into that now. You see, when you're young, you have a ton of wealth-building factors on your side, many of which you probably don't even realize you have. The first is energy. If you've ever spent time with your aging parents, grandparents, or family members, you'll know that as your age rises, your level of energy declines. Fortunately, as a young individual, you have boundless energy to put into your work, whether that's working and running a side hustle, starting a business, or tackling whatever income endeavor you feel will get you to your first million the fastest. You even have the energy to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, which I'll give you a moment to do right now. I know for myself personally, I regularly get up at 4 a.m. and have no problem making it through the day productively. You see, I recognized early on that I won't have this amount of energy forever, and if I want any chance at being financially successful before I am in adult diapers, I better harness the energy I have now in a positive direction. Next, we have responsibilities. When you're young, you barely know what responsibilities are. Up until kids enter the picture, most people are only responsible for themselves, which ultimately translates into having more resources of both time and money. When you're only financing your own life, you can funnel as much of these resources into learning new skills, buying more assets, and investing in new endeavors. Moreover, you have the ability to dictate how you spend your free time, which is not the case when you have a family and are now spending your nights calming a crying baby and mornings changing dirty diapers. Then, we have your ability to harness technology. I will admit that at 30, I am already starting to see my tech skills becoming obsolete, but compared to my parents, I am basically a technological god. As such, when we are young, we are more attuned to the technology around us, and given that there exists a plethora of ways to make money online these days, this also bends in our favor. Finally, we have time, but not time in the way we usually look at it. I already mentioned that in your younger years you have time to work, but what if that work doesn't exactly pan out? Well, you also have time to recover. You see, chances are not every one of your money-making endeavors will work out, and that's okay. For instance, you may become deeply entrenched in the world of cryptocurrency and lose $10,000. You may start an online business and one algorithm change drops your revenues by 85%. In short, you will have some setbacks over time, and that's okay, because you have time to recover and still make a ton of money while you're young. The important part is positioning yourself to gain access opportunities that will get you ahead, which brings us to our final point of how the hell do you make the $1 million in the first place? Your path to your first million will consist of 3 particular elements, with the first being an income vehicle. And when I say income vehicle, I specifically mean an efficient one. As I mentioned earlier, your 9-to-5 job won't make you rich, because not only can you only work so many hours in the day, but the company will always try and pay you as little as possible. And this goes directly against your plan to get rich. As such, you need to find a path to provide value at scale. This could be through a blog, a YouTube channel, an online store, and the list goes on. Next, you need to acquire assets. Assets will act as wealth catalysts that prompt your net worth to rise without much extra effort on your part. For example, I bought my house in 2020 for $325,000 and now it's worth $500,000. That's an increase in my net worth of $175,000 without having to lift a finger. This is the power of assets, and when you acquire the right ones, becoming a millionaire is easier than you'd expect. Finally, you need a bit of luck. Every rich person will tell you that luck had a part to play in their success. Maybe they made a contact that offered them a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Maybe they had a piece of their content go viral that took their business to the next level. Maybe they were like me and acquired an asset before it shot up in value. The point is, luck does play a part in achieving financial success, but you must also be receptive to the luck that comes your way. If you aren't trying to make more money, if you aren't saving, investing, and learning, then no amount of luck will help you. But once you are ready to take action, luck can go a long way. And so, test your luck right now, and click on this next video, as I have a feeling it could be the one that will have you joining the 7-figure club in no time.